Okay, hello everybody, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be talking about a theory that I'm honestly starting to believe, and that is that the theory that Yoda knew about Palpatine's plan the entire time, and more specifically that he actually let Anakin fall to the dark side and Order 66 and all those events happen. So without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, firstly, I just want to state that we know that Yoda is the most in tune with the Force compared to any other living Jedi, and we see this throughout the Clone Wars. Yoda is always able to sense danger, usually before any other Jedi can, and we can confidently say that Yoda is the most aware Jedi in the Order when it comes to any form of danger. So it's not too far of a logical leap to say that Yoda knew about Anakin and what he would end up becoming before all of this even happened, and on a more larger scale, Palpatine's entire plan as a whole, and eventually the downfall of the Jedi. But a lot of people will say, oh, Palpatine used his Force to keep his identity and true intentions hidden from the whole Jedi Order. And that is a correct statement, and I would 100% agree with you, except for the fact that Yoda did know. In Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, we see that Yoda is using the Force to see through Anakin's emotions, and even stating that Anakin's future is clouded as he has too much attachment for his mother that can ultimately lead to the dark side emotions. Then once Qui-Gon Jinn dies, Anakin is now under the supervision of Obi-Wan and is trained anyway despite all of Yoda's warnings. And honestly, it just kind of feels that all of those warnings that Yoda actually had were completely thrown out the window, and Yoda didn't really do anything to stop it. It's almost like he wanted it to happen. But we see even more evidence in Revenge of the Sith, when Anakin is literally having visions of him losing Padme and him going through all of that suffering and pain. And when Anakin tells Yoda about this, instead of Yoda, guiding him through it and trying to find a way around this so he doesn't have to succumb to these emotions, Yoda turns this into a conversation and almost like a lecture for Anakin that he needs to mature and accept death, and it is natural and there's nothing he can really do about it. And obviously that is the exact opposite of what Anakin wanted to hear, and he will do everything in his power, and even says this, he will do everything in his power to prevent this from happening. Okay, so now my issue here is that Anakin and Yoda obviously aren't strangers. Yoda knew him since a young age, and we see Yoda is able to completely look through Anakin's emotions and understand him. We saw him do it in The Phantom Menace. So it really wouldn't make sense for Yoda to obviously not help him if he could feel these feelings and actually cared about Anakin, staying a Jedi. But what if he didn't? What if Yoda actually did need Anakin to fall to the dark side and therefore did not help him during this time, so that he would end up having Luke, and then the balance would be restored once Luke will face Anakin? Now, for my second point is really when Order 66 begins, because, we see Yoda, he feels all this death and suffering around him. We see Yoda, drop to his knees, and he just feels that great disturbance in the Force. And moments later, he does end up killing the clones behind him. My issue, again, is if he could see a troubled Anakin, we know that he knew that Anakin's feelings were messed up, and he still did nothing about it. And you're telling me he couldn't sense that the clones were going to end up betraying him, and all of these events happening afterwards? It really just doesn't make sense unless he did actually know and just chose to do nothing about it. And I guess you can say that him dropping to his knees does prove that this was indeed a surprise, but does it really? This could also just be a simple reaction from a mass loss. Even if you knew it was happening, something on that scale would seriously damage an individual. For my third and final point is when he goes into exile. He doesn't attempt to rebuild the Jedi Order or resist the Empire after Order 66. With all the resources that we do know he has. He is Bail Organa, he is Obi-Wan, he is literally every Jedi that got away. And it's only safe to assume that Yoda knows where all of them are. But instead, he retreats to the planet Dagobah, which is a planet strong in the dark side and is honestly a very weird planet to retreat to, even though it's not your home world and you really have no connection to do it. But I think he did this to simply just reflect, wait, and actually observe the galaxy, letting the Force's balance reset, ultimately guiding the way for Luke to restore the balance. So all in all, this is a cool theory that paints Yoda as kind of a fallen Jedi, and who recognizes that the Order has kind of lost their way and they were blind to their own failings. And maybe this is the only way that Yoda thought he could bring balance back to the Force through a different vessel. So please let me know what you guys think about this down below, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.